So section 6 is our deep thought, right?
Yep.
This one's how I became a record producer. Because it's kind of a long, winding road. I produced my first album for somebody else at the age of 19. And he was a dance hall reggae guy, right?
Right.
Jamaican guy. And I didn't really know anything about dance hall, but I knew how to program MIDI. I've been writing in that realm in the computer since about 13 is about when I first started learning how to do that. So I learned how to make music on the computer, and I got in the microphone. It might actually be the one you're talking into.
Oh, really?
It would have been one
this
of my...
thing looks pristine.
Oh, that might not be the one. I've got... Oh, no, I gave the first one away. I've got 3 of those for reasons. But my very first one was a Samson CO1, my first real microphone. And
Why on earth did you give that away?
somebody needed it. I don't remember.
Okay.
They're cheap. They're not... I don't
just-
use the CO1s on everything. I use it for the podcast, but...
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was in college. This was before Berkeley. I was going to Baruch in New York City. And I met him, and he lived in the city. He was an interesting guy. He was working in the Twin Towers, but called in on 9/11. Called in sick. His mom said, "Don't go to work today." Don't know why. Just have a bad feeling. And he called in. And then it happened. Weird, right?
Moms know.
They know.
Moms know.
So so I did that. I think we did 4 songs over a weekend. He rode the train up to my house because I lived 45 minutes north.
So you were taking the train from home into the city?
Yep.
Awesome.
It was
That's cool.
it was 2 hours each way. It was half an hour to the train station. Well, it was like 15 minutes to the train station, but you show up 15 minutes early. An hour on the train, and then 30 minutes when you got off the train to hoof it all the way down to 32nd and Lexington. My little sister actually got her master's there.
Really?
Yeah. I'm proud of her. But yeah, that was the first record I ever produced for anybody else. The first record
So he would take the train out to your place?
Yeah, he came up to me, and it was just one weekend.
One weekend and you said it was a reggae sort of...
Yeah, and I didn't really know what I was doing. He didn't really know what he needed. We were both kind of shooting in the dark.
You were 19. You were like,
Yeah, we were
man,
kids.
come on, let's try.
Let's try.
Let's do it.
And like the summer before, I had like tried to write somebody had written a song, and I tried to like make a music bed for it, but it wasn't happening. But he was the first one where I kind of figured out how to make the whole thing happen. The first real record I produced for somebody else would have been Tim Salter's record.
Mm-hmm.
Which, did I give you a copy of that? I'm sending you home with a copy of that.
Okay.
I still have boxes of them. But that one we produced in the dorm room, and that would have been at about 21. But I've been recording myself since about 15.
Right.
I started writing with a computer at about 13. Started recording at about 15. 21, I made my first record for other people. And I would have been paid in like food and beer.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that in college. I produced a lot of stuff in college for food and beer. And then I think the first big job I had here in Austin was B. Sterling's Time Has Come.
Yeah.
That was a good record. I'm proud of that record. That one came out really nice. I put a lot of work into it. So, but the way I got started was I found an artist who didn't really know how to do any of it and needed help. And I knew how to do it, but I wasn't very good at it. But when you have no money, you have to work with what you have.
Right.
And so really every production job I've ever gotten has been through networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not famous enough where people call me because they're aware of my sound.
You'll be there.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I mean,
You've still got your day job. Sorry.
But I also, you don't do it for that reason.
Right.
It would be nice if that happened, but it is not my driving force. My driving force is always making good music. But yeah, I figured I was a kid in high school who didn't play well with others. I had by the time I graduated high school, I played like 6 instruments.
Right.
I just wanted to be a one-man ska band and like live in the studio and make ska records.
One-man ska band.
So we've been joking about doing a series of me playing by myself and overdubbing. Or I do a video series of it, and we'll call it Don Plays with Himself. Right? But yeah, so like I play drums and I play bass. I'm not great at drums, but I can play bass and I can play guitar. And I started on trombone.
Mhm.
What more do you need for a ska band? Saxophone.
Yeah, we talk about the ska bands.
Oh, I miss it.
I
miss
wanna-
those days.
I want to play the trombone again.
Well, I should send you home with
Boom,
one.
boom,
I got a
boom.
couple of them.
Do you have that plastic one that you?
I do. Do you want to take that home and play with it?
My mom would hate it.
Yeah, she would. The dog would hate it too.
Oh, the low frequency on it though.
You'd be surprised. Your dog's all, didn't Brandy always freak out when you
No, it
practiced?
was a cat.
Oh yeah.
I've got some good embouchure. I bet you I can hit the high notes even on a trombone.
You could try. It goes fast. When I first got that plastic trombone, I hadn't played a horn in a while, so
Right.
my lip is out of shape.
Right.
And I practiced for like 3 hours because they're fun.
Right.
And once I get practicing, I just practice. And my lips swelled up to
I
like
was gonna say that first night where you like.
I looked like I had a beak. I looked like a
You
parrot.
plumped your lips.
And then like you had to go out and get food, and I wouldn't come because I was too embarrassed by how swollen my
No,
lip was.
I don't remember that.
I remember.
I
it was the
remember you
wrinkles.
coming home from the gig where you played the trombone and being all swollen.
What, Kenny Dorham's?
Yeah.
I was a little tender, but that wasn't like that time when I actually injured myself.
Oh.
But yeah, I actually injured my lip. But but the way it really starts is you have to have a pretty clear understanding of how to make a record. It helped that I had made records for myself.
Right.
I had,
That you want a cohesive sound, start to beginning. You want composition. You want it to start here, go there.
right.
Yep.
And so that's how you get started. You meet somebody who needs help. You make do with whatever you have. There's other ways to be a record producer. You know, you could be the kind of producer that has money, but I've
Mhm.
never been that record producer. But some record producers, they'll go find the band, hire the studio, hire the engineer, and hire their way into a very good project.
Right.
And it's a good way of doing it. Guys like Rick Rubin do that a lot, where they'll work with the band, rehearse them, make sure they sound as good as they possibly can, the best way they know how to do it,
Right.
and then they just kind of turn over the engineering to other people to make it happen.
Yep.
It's a valid way of working. It's just I've always been an engineer, so it's not how I work. But for a long time, I had this vision of like, I have this sound and I have to impart my sonic footprint. And Carissa left the room.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Welcome to the train wreck. And
There's an empty spot.
there is. Where's Regal Cat? So it took me a long time to realize that the best way to produce an album, really, in many ways, is to just get out of the way.
Let the artist be the artist.
Let the artist be the artist. But I'm not making manufactured pop music. I used to think of I can make manufactured pop music.
Yeah.
I'm very good at it, but I don't like doing it. So
Yeah, it's just not your style. It's not your sound.
it can be. I
Yeah.
can do it on demand, but
Right.
I'm not sure there's enough money in the world to convince me to do it. It's hard to sleep at night when
You
you're doing those
don't
records.
listen to pop music in
Oh,
the radio
No,
or on the radio in the car as you're driving. Do
She
you?
listens to the pop music and then tells me what to go learn. Like I didn't really know about Call Me Maybe until I was like in the car with her and it was on the radio
Right.
and it caught my ear. Same with Somebody I Used to Know.
Yeah, that one was catchy.
That one caught my ear. That whole album's fantastic.
Marion Hill.
Marion Hill, one time I heard that on the radio and I was just like, what was that?
That one is intense.
That
Yeah.
one's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's how I became a record producer. I just kind of did it. Right?
Right.
I was a kid. I bought a microphone and I had an interface, and my parents weren't really like big on helping me with this stuff. It was really me like saving $100, buying $100 thing.
It was your passion.
It was easier to talk my parents into helping with things like instruments. but the recording side of it, it was not as
Because they saw that as, you're going to be a musician and not the recording side, or you?
I think part of it is I never really asked for more
Right.
until much later. My first years, my first couple albums I made with like a sound blaster and the built-in microphone. And I thought that's how records were made. I didn't know,
That's pretty awesome.
right? I just thought, yeah, this is the software people use to make records, right? Cool. And I made some stuff. I should put that up one day. I put 2006 and Beyond up on the channel. If you go to the Get Off My Lawn Records YouTube channel, there's a playlist with an album I made on my college laptop, which would have been so grossly underpowered by today's standards. It was a 1.25 gigahertz with, I think I bumped it up to a gigabyte of RAM. And
That probably cost you an arm and a leg,
it was
too.
like $3,000. Oh, it was really expensive. And I made stuff in college and it was single core, right? It was a G4, and it worked. And I made some really hip music with it. But God, it's nicer working on the new Macs, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how. So if you're a record producer, how'd you get to be a record producer? If you're an aspiring record producer, leave a comment. Let me know what you're doing to go find these gigs, find the right artists for you to work with. You don't need a lot of stuff. You don't need a room like this. It just helps. You can totally do it with a closet full of clothes, a microphone, and a pair of headphones. So go out there, make good music. All that matters is output. That's all I always say.
Yep.
All right, what's next?